Hello and welcome everyone. My name is André Salles, and in this lecture I'm going to talk to you about the meaning, the form and the usage of the past simple tense. So, let's get started. The most common use for the past simple tense is when we need to talk about a completely finished action that took place at a specific time in the past. In some cases, it's not necessary to mention the time when the action happened. Example: she traveled to London last year. A second use for the past simple is when we need to talk about a sequence of actions that happened in the past, one just after the other in the order that they are mentioned. Example: last night I arrived home, took a shower and went to bed. We can also use the past simple to talk about duration in the past, which means to describe when an action started and finished in the past. Example: she lived in Ireland for 2 years. The past simple can also be used to talk about habits in the past, which means that the person is talking about an action that was very frequent in the past, but that they have stopped doing in the present. This meaning of the past simple is similar to that of the expression used to. It may be necessary to include words or expressions such as always, sometimes, 3 times a week, etc. in the sentence to make it clear the person is describing a habit. Example: she ate a lot of pasta when she lived in Italy. Let's see now some sentences in the past simple. Let's start with sentences in the affirmative form. I started a journey. You started a journey. He started a journey. She started a journey. We started a journey. You started a journey. They started a journey. In the past simple, the affirmative sentences with regular verbs are formed with the addition of d or ed at the end of the infinitive form of the verb. In case the verb ends in e, we just add d. However, if the verb ends in any other letter, we add ed to its infinitive form. I wrote a letter. You wrote a letter. He wrote a letter. She wrote a letter. We wrote a letter. You wrote a letter. They wrote a letter. The affirmative sentences with irregular verbs are formed with the past simple of each verb. And because they are so different from the regular verbs, you have to study them one by one. I did not start a journey. You did not start a journey. He did not start a journey. She did not start a journey. We did not start a journey. You did not start a journey. They did not start a journey. To make negative sentences with the past simple, you need to use the verb did, which is the past simple of do. After that, you put the word not. And after not, we use the infinitive form of the verb. Note, this rule applies for both regular and irregular verbs. Did you start a journey? Did he start a journey? Did she start a journey? Did we start a journey? Did you start a journey? Did they start a journey? Interrogative sentences are formed by placing the auxiliary verb did at the beginning of the sentence. The subject, a noun or a pronoun, is then placed just after the auxiliary verb, and after the auxiliary verb, we put the main verb in the infinitive form. This rule applies for both regular and irregular verbs. Let's see now some sentences that show actions that were completely finished in the past. They watched a film last week. He traveled to Spain last summer. Did you have dinner with Susan yesterday? I didn't go to the museum. Now, let's take a look at sentences that describe a sequence of actions that were completely finished in the past. I arrived home, took a shower, and had a sandwich for dinner. She packed her things, called a taxi, and went to the airport. He went to the store, chose a shirt, paid, and left. Mark arrived at the hotel, asked for a room, and slept all afternoon. Another situation in which we can use the past simple is when we need to talk about the duration of actions in the past. In other words, when we need to say for how long an action took place. In these situations, it's common to use time expressions such as for 2 years, all day, for 5 years, all year. Let's see some examples now. They lived in Japan for 2 years. She stayed in her room all day. We talked on the phone for 30 minutes. Alice studied Italian for 4 years. The past simple can also be used to talk about habits in the past. In these situations, the past simple works in the same way as the expression used to, because the person is talking about something that they stopped doing in the past. In other words, something that they don't do anymore. He took acting lessons when he was at school. She played the piano when she was a child. She studied 4 hours a day when she was in college. Martha worked at a diner.